for your first rendezvous in over a year. A lot of changes to the set, to basically everything, due to the fact that I can't seem to get a co-host to come in here for this fucking league to save my life. So I'm reduced to sitting on the floor in a basement filming this glorious show. Wrinklestein's fucking gone. No idea where he is. No clue. Tried getting a hold of him. I know he hasn't gotten a haircut. That's all the information I could get out of him. The other one, the bowler, he got his penis worked on last weekend and is simply not available at this time. I'm told that he will be appearing on the show this season, and that would be great because, frankly, it's not as fun to just make fun of your teams on my own and be the one that's completely bombarded with hate for doing so. I'm not really going to go over the draft. I guess I'm just going to go over the state of your rosters as we stand in week 5. Talk a little bit about wins and losses and points. And I'll go over, I guess, where I think we're going to be in a few weeks when half the season is over. I can't believe that's something we can already say, but we are a quarter of the way through the season right now. So I guess I haven't even looked at payments, but hopefully they're at least fairly legit. Frankly, I don't really care right now. I know Tom hasn't paid. That's really for sure. We've got holy shit, lots of payments have been made. Holy shit. The J-Man, Tommy Fondo, and the commish himself are the only ones to not have paid. Very impressive, boys. Very impressive. Wow. I'm happy. To say the least. So, good work on that. Maybe we can talk to the commish. Maybe we can talk to J-Man and, Tom. Yeah, right. But I imagine those other guys can get some things going. So where we are right now, I'm just going to go down the roster format as it is and just talk about each guy. Start with the commish, Mrs. Garrett. Good quarterbacks. Running backs are a little sketchy, but Ivory and Murray have both performed so far this season. We'll see what happens when the bye weeks hit. Julio Jones is fucking phenomenal. I don't think anybody can argue that. Alshon Jeffrey hasn't really even fucking played. Eifert and Kelsey are very good tight ends. Kicker, defense, whatever. Look, the commish got high points the first 2 weeks and then has lost his last 2 games. I don't think he expected what he's gotten out of this squad, but he's certainly happy with the $50 that has already come his way. We'll see what happens. Maybe he keeps it going, maybe he doesn't. J-Man, you got Rodgers. Your running backs are fucking terrible. Your receivers are fucking terrible as well. I don't really know what you think you're doing there. Martellus Bennett had a big week last week. Kicker, defense, whatever. I don't even know if you have won games You're currently sitting 1-3. I would say this team is bullshit. Okay. Maddie, you had 75 draft picks in the first like 3 rounds. So if this team isn't spectacular, you should literally just retire from the fucking genre. Bradford, Foles, Palmer. Palmer's been great. The other two, eh. Your running backs, of course, are or at least should be good. You got AP, who's been wonderful. LaShawn McCoy's hurt. You got Beckham, AJ Green, T.Y. Hilton, Jordan Matthews. Your first 4 picks in the draft, I think, and they were spectacular. T.Y. Jordan, not so much, but Beckham and AJ have kept you afloat. Kicker D, whatever. But this team is and has been, really spectacular as the young season goes underway. The shit guys, Benny, I always fear of making fun of you to the point where you just quit because I really enjoy having you in the league, but maybe you gotta stop listening to Weibel. I don't know, because your quarterbacks are pretty rough. Your running backs, somehow Mark Ingram has 300 points already. I don't know how that works, but otherwise, really, a hot mess 4 weeks through the season. Of course, your receivers are glorious. Keenan Allen, Antonio Brown, Calvin, Jason Witten, your tight end. It's really not, if you can get past the running backs, it's not a bad squad. It's just finding guys that are consistent every week, which I guess who the fuck knows. You're 2-2. You got a decent point total, 650 a week, which is pretty solid. Your points against average is 700, which is fucking crazy. So what are you supposed to do? As we go down, the quarterbacks are an issue and the running backs. But if your receivers are scoring enough points to cover your dudes, then fucking whatever, Harry Boys, Drew Brees, ouch. Matt Ryan, is fucking hot as shit. We'll see. We'll see what Arian does. He made his debut last week, and of course, didn't do much at all. But he ran into the Falcons, who are raping people right now. So, what? Who knows? We'll see. Otherwise, DeMarco, tough break there. Alfred, tough break there. Your receivers, Julian, Pierre is making a resurgence here. Brandon Marshall, great pick. Sanders, Terrence Williams, whatever. Cameron has sucked, but the Dolphins have sucked. So what are you gonna do? This team should be better than what it is. I don't know what your record is offhand. I got a 2-2, averaging 580 a week. It's fine. It's not blowing my doors off, but those receivers should keep you afloat. Jameis Crabshack. Carlson, I'm just going to say this, and I think that we both understand the situation that you're in. Look, you traded away your season last year for a championship that you didn't get. And here you are starting, a terrible Andrew Luck, which secretly gives me a lot of joy. Jameis Winston, who literally has thrown 46 interceptions in the first 4 weeks. And then your running backs, with the exception of Spiller and Jennings, I don't even know who they are. Tevin Coleman was supposed to be the Atlanta running back. Well, we've all seen how that's turned out. And unfortunately, you didn't hit on receiver either. Mike Evans, for whatever reason, has really struggled, probably because Jameis Winston is the quarterback there. Brandon Cooks is bullshit. I've said it for years, and I'm happy that he sucks. Charles Clay's good tight end there. And if that's all I can really say for your team, it's a sad day. This team is terrible. It's not your fault necessarily as far as the draft goes. You just traded away all your picks. You knew this would happen. We knew this would happen. Dust yourself off and, get ready for next year. The champion. I've got more questionable jurisdictions on this fucking roster than I can even count. Jay Cutler, Ryan Tannehill, Le'Veon Bell, spectacular. Lance Dunbar, Matt Forte, spectacular. And D-Well who held the ship for you until Le'Veon got back. You have no depth here whatsoever at running back. You picked up James Jones at receiver. Otherwise, you've got Demarius, Sammy Watkins, who hasn't done a fucking thing. Golden Tate, who hasn't done a fucking thing. Kyle Rudolph at tight end, who he had a big week too. JJ has been fine, and the Panthers' defense has been really good. But, Drew, after your ridiculous ranting last year and cocking off in the offseason, to see at 2-2 really gives me a lot of joy. Although you have scored a lot of points. 26-50. You got a high points last week in week 4. Maybe things are going to turn around. I personally hope not. Doug Stritt. Doug Stritt always seems to fucking be in the shit. I don't know how. I don't understand. He doesn't even have a full roster. He's playing with 17 guys instead of 18. But, savvy pickups. Unfortunately, Big Ben went down there, so he's left with Alex Smith and Johnny Football. We'll see what happens there. You literally have 2 running backs on your roster. You have Ryan Matthews and Joseph Randle. They've kept you afloat so far, but 2 running backs on your roster. 2. Travis Benjamin, Martavius Bryant, who hasn't fucking played yet. Fitzy's been huge. Roddy White's dead. Then you left with Owen Daniels, Heath Miller, and Julius, who also hasn't played. I'm sure your record is good. Actually, it's 1-3. So you've lost 3 in a row. You're averaging 570 a week. You just traded Marshawn Lynch for a draft pick, and I don't know if you're selling the farm right away or what, but it's gonna be a long climb, especially with these guys at running back. We'll see. Rhonda just made that deal for Marshawn. That brings him to Eddie Lacy, Marshawn, Andy Dalton, Stafford, Marcus Mariota, and he's got a array of Steve Smith, DeAndre Hopkins, Andre Robinson, Bolden, Jimmy Graham, Antonio Gates, who comes back this week. This team's actually pretty solid, especially with that deal for Lynch. He might put himself in a position to do some real work, which is interesting considering this is the first year that you've actually drafted your own fucking team. Okay, you're sitting atop of that division with Tasteless there, beating Mountain points, and it looks good. It looks pretty darn good. We'll see. My odds-on favorite to win the league this year is Chris Henry, although we say that every year, it seems, and he always ends up coming short. This team is fucking great at every single avenue. Brady, Eli, Russell Wilson. You can start any of them, you can flex any of them. Giovanni just gets those random points that, like a fucking Danny Woodhead guy. Jamal Charles, Devontae Freeman might be the draft pick of the year. Well, I don't know if you drafted him or not. You might have picked him up, but you got him. Tavon's been successful. Decker or Hearns. And then I don't know. Actually, your receivers are fucking terrible. So I don't know how you're going to make that work, but you've just played the right guys so far. Then you got Gronk and Greg Olsen. I don't know necessarily what you're doing. I'd probably make a trade because you're not going to flex these guys all the time, are you? Thanks, Skip. I don't know. You've been the most consistent so far, that's for sure. Sitting at 4-0, the only undefeated team left in the league. And granted, your points against average is 570, so you haven't really played anybody, but you're averaging 740 points a week as well. So long as you keep that up, no matter what, I imagine you'll be in good shape. Just saw your mother last night, by the way, at a meeting, and she had I got to see the pictures of the girls. That Cece sure is a cute one. Congrats on the twins. Daniel Karnowski. Danny, I was so proud of you these last couple of years. You really make a strong case for newcomer of the year, and then you have a draft like this. And if you're interested in looking at his team, I'm just gonna tell you to go look at it. But this is fucking terrible, Dan. Like, embarrassingly terrible. Maybe you should stop playing so much golf. Start doing a little more research here. I feel sad for you. Dave Kriesel. Nanny Peterson is a back-to-back champion known as Shit Soup in the Pants League. Dave, this concoction of players that you've compiled this year in Newbold is literally equally hideous to Dan's, and I refuse to talk about them. Your best player is Amari Cooper, who's a rookie, and that's fine. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm lying. Your best player is the Denver Broncos defense. It's the Denver Broncos defense. So Dave, tough break on C.J. Anderson. Lamar Miller sucks also because the Dolphins suck. Romo went down with an injury. This team is fucking terrible. Okay. Good luck to you. That's it for analysis of your rosters. I realize that was fairly dry. It's awful hard when you don't have somebody else to fucking feed off of. So that's it. I guess I'll take a small break here and make myself another Chardonnay. And then we'll talk about where we're heading in as we go into the half of the season. Really a lot of parity. But I think part of that is because like 3 or 4 teams at the top really drafted well and everybody else sucked wands. So, alright, I'll be back. See you in a minute. Let me just get out of here. It's really easy to do. Yep. This is awful. Okay. Okay, so I guess all I'm really going to do from here on out is say what I think the state of each team, or at least the teams that I think are playoff-worthy teams or contender teams, stand. So we've got the 4 divisions, and as you know, the conference champion division plays each other to go to the championship, and the the runner-up conference plays each other to go to that part of the championship. So, we're left with some interesting spots here because 4 of the 5 best teams in the league well, there's actually, you could make a case. So the top two teams are clearly points wise Garrett's and forget Favre. Garrett is currently leading the league in points because of those for that high 3 week stretch he had, and Henry has just been, consistent. So we're sitting at like $3,000 for those two teams, and then everything else kind of levels off around 2,500, 2,600 for the next tier. And with those guys, you're looking at Rhonda and Maddie, who are in the same division. Harry Boys, with a respectable 2-2 at 2,300 points, but clearly Rhonda and Tasteless, just roster-wise, seem to be the strongest there. Garrett's conference, shit guys. Benny is one of the top as far as that next tier goes. He's close to 2,600 points. I just fear, the consistency at the quarterback position for him. Dave, your team is literally fucking terrible. Just terrible. Non-conference, runner-up conference, you've got, forget Favre again, running away with that division right now at 4-0. Both Dave and J-Man are tied at 1-3. So for them to even sniff the division title, they're going to have to do some real work. J-Man's at 2,500. I feel like Bad News is cashing in his chips probably and selling a little bit based on that trade this week. But, J-Man still could do some damage, or at least somebody's got to make the playoffs there. Could be J-Man. Carlson's division, again, Carlson, you traded the farm. You're last points-wise in the league at 1,800. So I guess by default, Karnowski's probably going to make the playoffs, even though his team is struggling quite a bit too. Which leaves the champ to run that division and for sure make the playoffs. And he's actually at 2,650. So I guess if he had a third or fourth team, it seems like Maddie's starting to get hot. So I would probably think that he ends up, in that running as well for high points. But I guess that's where I would leave it. Is Henry, Garrett, Maddie, Rhonda, and Peanut there. Top 5-6 teams. I literally don't know if the bottom 6 can even come out of this thing. I would be shocked to see any of the people that are at the bottom of those divisions, make a run. With the exception of the Harry Boys. Harry Boys, I guess, maybe have a shot, but they need some really strong quarterback play out of Drew Brees. There's some really big holes as we go into the bye week. So, we'll see. I mean, that's really where we're at, I guess. Like I said, my favorite is probably Henry to win the whole thing, with probably Dave as my favorite to take on the shitter this year. I just feel like Carlson's gonna do something to make a move, or who knows. But when I look at Dave's team, I literally fucking almost puked. So that's really it. I apologize for how boring this was. I apologize that it's just me, literally with no laughs, barely even being able to crack a smile. But without a co-host, this is what you get. I want to say that there's some really impressive squads here, and I'm excited to see where it goes. But, there's also some really bad teams as well. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll get something going. I mean, really, if it's just me, I could almost do one of these every other week. I've just been waiting to see if one of the co-hosts is going to be able to do it. So, I mean, if it's just me, I have no problem doing one of these more often. Because it literally takes me fucking 20 minutes to do this shit. So, we'll see. That said, it's really hard to get out of this fucking underneath this coffee table. It sucks. Alright? But good job on the fees. Keep working. We'll see you next time.